friends, welcome back. Today it is a beautiful, bright, breezy spring day, and I plan to be spending a lot of time in the kitchen. I'm gonna hang some clothes up on the clothesline. It's a nice new clothesline that my husband put up for me, and I'm gonna make you some apple fritters. I've taken my mother's her cinnamon sticky bun recipe and I've manipulated it into an apple fritter recipe, and we're gonna just go ahead and get started on that. When you're making these apple fritters, you wanna plan on it taking up a decent chunk of the day because some of the steps just take a long time. You're raising and you're raising. So at least plan on it taking like 3.5 to 4 hours from start to finish. Okay. For these apple fritters, I'm going to be using a big old tub of canola oil for my frying. I've got confectioners sugar, all-purpose flour, whole milk, sugar, salt, shortening, 2 packets of dry active yeast, 2 apples, 2 eggs, some honey, nutmeg, and cinnamon. First things first, I want to measure out a cup of milk. And we're going to just let this scald on the stove. While the milk is scalding, I'm going to get a cup of lukewarm water to raise my yeast in. To the water, I'm going to add 2 packets of yeast. And my mother taught me this trick. You add just a little bit of honey to help that yeast rise. So I'm just gonna do a little dollop of honey in there. Stir it in and set it aside. To this big bowl, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of sugar, and our 1/2 cup of shortening. The milk has a nice foam and a skin on top of it, so that's right where we want it. We're gonna turn it off. I'm pouring the scalding hot milk over top of what's in the bowl, and the point of the milk being hot is that you wanna melt down this fat in here. Now I'm gonna just beat up my eggs a little bit and add them to the mixture. So 2 eggs. Now we take this yeast that has been sitting there for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's got this nice rise on it, and I'm going to add it. Now we're gonna add the flour. The recipe calls for 7 cups, but that is very subject to circumstance. So we're just gonna start adding, and we're gonna bring it to the right consistency. You're gonna want roughly 7 cups. I'm gonna add 1 and beat it in. Here's 2. 5. Here's 6. And from here on, I want to be really careful about adding more flour because I'm going to just go off of consistency. Now that we're at 6 cups total, I'm going to add half a cup. I'm going to get in here with my hands because I want to be able to feel the texture to make sure I'm not adding too much flour beyond this. Okay, you want it to where it's sticky but not sticking to your fingers. This is just slightly sticky yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and add about another 1/4 cup. Okay, looks like we're using a total of 7 cups. Just is a tiny bit sticky. Okay, this dough is ready to rest. So next step is to grease your bowl. So I'm just getting my hand in this grease, in this shortening, and I'm gonna rub it around the base of the bowl. Just slightly grease the top. I'm gonna cover this with a towel, and we're gonna put it in the oven with the heat lamp on. And it's gonna sit there for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The dough's been in the oven for like 2.5 hours because I went out for lunch with my friend Carrie. And I'm now just getting back at it. So before we do that, I'm gonna prep my apples so we can put them in to the dough. This may be my favorite part of making apple fritters. We get to see how that dough rose. Okay, we'll get it. Voila! Look how huge this is. This is beautiful, beautiful dough. So we're gonna turn it out and we're gonna put in some cinnamon sugar coated apples, break it off into hunks, and let it rise for another 1/2 hour while we get our fryer all heated up. There's the dough, here's the apples. We're going to add some cinnamon. Guys, I'm not measuring this out. I'm gonna guess it's 2 teaspoons right now. Let's call this 1/4 cup of sugar. Just a little bit of nutmeg. I'd call that a pinch. I'm gonna flatten this dough out a little. And we're gonna add these cinnamon apples right in the center. Just like so. And gonna mix them in. These cinnamon apples will make your dough sticky and wet, but fear not, the dough will still rise enough to have enough volume to be really good fritters. There's gonna be a little bit of like apple that falls out. It's not a big deal, it just happens. It happens with apple fritters. Now we portion, and I'm going for small fritters because I'm practicing a smaller one for a ladies' retreat that I'm going to next weekend. So we're gonna portion like that. Look at, say a small handful I'm going for, and they'll actually be pretty big once they fry down. We have a total of 30 fritters, and I'm going to cover them so that they can rise for another additional half an hour. I'm going to prep the fryer oil while we're waiting on our dough to rise for the last time. I just wanted to take a moment to stress that if you do not have a deep fat fryer, you can definitely use a pan. I've used a pan and a meat thermometer every time to make these except for today. So, more power to you with the pan. I'm making the glaze. Instead of measuring, I'm gonna go for consistency and quantity. So I'm gonna say this is roughly two and a half, call it 2.5 cups of confectioner sugar. I'm gonna put in a nice smattering of cinnamon. And we'll start with a little bit of milk. Fork it in. Add more. This is the consistency we're looking for. You want it runny, like a thick runny. Just remember when you're making the glaze that a little bit of milk goes a long, long way. Just be really ginger with your milk. You can always add a drop or two more later if you need to. All right, this entire kitchen has become a frying operation, and I am the station master. Let me show you what's going on here. So over here on this countertop, we have the raising apple fritters, which are almost ready to go in the fryer. I have my fryer set up. It is ready to go at 375. This is what the donuts or the apple fritters are gonna go in after they come out of the fryer. And then we're gonna be heading over to this tabletop. I have the doors open so it'll get a nice breeze in here for the glazing, and then the placement of the apple fritters for drying. Let's check out the fritters. Okay, we're gonna grab our first two and take them over to the fryer and drop them in. Gonna very daintily pick them up. See how dainty I am? They're going. It's been almost 2 minutes. I'm gonna flip these. About 4 minutes total, and we're pulling this first batch of fritters out. time to repeat. These donuts have had a few minutes to just cool off, and we're gonna start glazing some of them. So, right into the glaze. Toss it to cover. Pull it out. Toss to coat. These guys are gonna sit here until they are nice and dry. We're halfway there. The glaze is hardening, so you can handle them. And if you want to, go ahead and give one a try. That's a good fritter. That's a good fritter. Oh yeah. It's a yummy fritter. Thanks for following me around in my kitchen today. I much enjoyed making fritters for you. And if you think they're too hard to make, think again, because they're super easy and they're delicious. Have a great day. Have a great day. Have a great day.